Hello, and welcome back to RPG Maker MZ. Today, we'll be looking at a vault code puzzle, which is to say, something like this. We try to interact with the door, and we have to guess the number. We get a 2-digit number here, so we're guessing from 0 to 99. 50 is in the middle, so I'll start with that. One thing I will quickly note is that if you are making this kind of a puzzle in an older version of RPG Maker, I know that it works because I did this in VXAs. This interface will look different. That's because in MZ we get this touchscreen and mouse support by default. Number's too high, so I'm going to cut it in half. Yeah, so in older versions of RPG Maker, you won't have the touchscreen stuff, but it will still work. Too low on 12, okay. Let's go to 18. Still too low. Let's go to 22. Still too low. 24? Too high. Well, there we go. So once we've got the door done, then we get this event here. We can use the action button to go back and forth as much as we want. If I check out this next one, let's start at 50. It's too low. I'm just going to deliberately fail this. Run out of guesses. Vault code reset. So try again. 50. Oh, still too low. Okay, I was hoping. There's a 50% chance it was going to say too high. No, too low. Which would have been nice for demonstration purposes, I guess. I'll go 82. And the general strategy I have for these is just to go in the middle each time. Too high. Which, with 7 guesses, that will be enough to solve it. So that's working. Then we have a separate door type here. This one is too hard to guess. I need to find the code somewhere else. And then as you can see, we get... we get a 6-digit number here. So if I put enter, nothing happens, because that was the wrong answer. So for this sort of code, you have to find this somewhere else. This is just for the sake of example right here. Found the vault code. But obviously, in the actual game, I would probably hide this a little bit better or put it somewhere else. But now, if I go into my inventory, vault code 1, it's showing 365574. And so if we put that in here, 365574, the door opens. Okay. So there we are. And I haven't done this code yet. But that's fine to go backwards. So that's what we are doing today. This is actually really easy to set up, but it's a pretty effective little puzzle with a couple of different applications as demonstrated. So let's start with the basics. First of all, looking at our variables, we are going to need 3 variables to get this to work. We need to have the code that's randomly been generated for our door. We need to store what the player's guess is, what their input was, and how many guesses they have remaining. Additionally, if you want to do what the second option was, where you have a preset code, you're going to need a variable storing each of those values for each preset door in your game. And then also an item, probably just as a convenience for your player, where you can write down what the code is. So that part's pretty easy to set up. So let's just start with this. We're also going to be taking advantage of these quick events, which is something I don't think I've really used a whole lot in the previous tutorials. But we have these quick events here. It's really convenient. So we'll start with a door. Actually, before we do that, if you want to have the doors make a little bit of sense, let's go with this one. Okay. So we'll create a little outline in our wall there. Quick event creation door and graphic. So you can grab whatever you want, depending whether you did a rounded top or a square top. Let's have the tent here, I guess. And location doesn't really matter, but we'll just stick this here for now. Alright, so we have a door. Also set starting position player, just for testing. Okay, so we have a door here. Let's copy the event page first, because we will want the event code on both pages, or at least parts of it on both pages. So page 1. Same as player action button. So you don't just run into it, you actually want to... I mean, you could do it, I guess you could do it that way. But I prefer doing it as an action button, and same as character so that you can't walk into it. That's just because I think this, by default, you can walk into these dark spaces, so the game sees you trying to walk into where a door is. This is just another way of setting that up. Alright, so double click to add something here, and we're going to control variable. Guesses remaining. So I'm going to be using 19, 20, and 21. A little bit awkward that we had the page turn here, but that's just how it worked out. So guesses remaining, and I'm going to set it to 7. Alright, and next, control variable. We're going to be looking at our randomly generated vault code. This is going to be a value from 0 to 99, so a 2-digit number at random. And then we're just going to use a loop for the player action here. So the first thing that we're going to do is get the player's input. So we use the input number. Oh, I forgot to go into busy mode on Steam. Oh well. It should be fine. Okay, so input number. We will take the player's input and put it into the guess, and this is a 2-digit number. And that by itself does that whole digit input interface thing. Alright, so we have that done here. Then we're going to take our variable and let's subtract 1 from number of guesses remaining. So every time you guess, you have 1 fewer guesses. And if you fail and restart the event, you'll be back up here outside of the loop where it'll give you a new random number and start you with 7 guesses again, so the logic works out. And then from here, we just need to check all of the different cases. What happens if you guess correctly? What happens if you guess incorrectly? What happens if you run out of guesses? So conditional branch, we will start with if you've guessed correctly. So if our guess equals our random value, we're not going to use else here, then what happens is we get through. The door opens. So here I say quick door event code. So what we want to do when the door opens is we're going to play the sound of the door opening, and we're going to set the movement route for this event. So Control X, Control V, and that will get us the door working properly. It doesn't really matter if we have through on or not here because we're going to be changing pages anyway, but I'll just get rid of it because it's not necessary. And here then we will have self switch A. So in this case, we're done, and then we're going to go to our next page here, which will have self switch A. And that is everything for that. Almost. We need to break the loop so that we're not being asked to use up our remaining guesses. Okay, after this, and it's important that this one goes first because of where I've put this. Vault code guesses remaining -1. Because if we have the next part where we check if our guesses remaining is 0, then we'll have guesses remaining 1, we'll make the guess, and then we'll just get kicked out. So having this part before we check the next thing is important, not switches, variables. So if remaining guesses equals 0, in this case we just break the loop. I guess we could include text as well. That might be a kindness to the player. You have run out of guesses. Vault code reset. And then break the loop. Okay. And then we got our other two cases. So if our variable, our guess, is I did less than before, it doesn't really matter, but I'll just do it the same way as my sample project. So if the code that we guessed is less than what the code actually was, then show text. Number is too low. Try again. Spelling. Try again. Variable. And here, we want to put the variable that we have the number of guesses remaining code in. So I think that was 21. That's what I wrote here. First thing on page 2. And if you're not sure what variable to put in there, just go control variables and check here. And this way you can see what your variable codes are. So yeah, all guesses remaining is 21. Cancel, cancel, cancel. So variable 21 is what we want there. And copy paste. But this time we want greater than. And of course, this would mean that the number is too high. So number is too low, number is too high, guesses remaining. And in each of these cases, we're not breaking the loop. So if we guess the wrong number, we go back up to the top and try again. And that is it. The rest of this we don't actually need, because that's going to be on page 2. So on this page, the door transfer isn't actually going to happen. We're just going to open the door and show the door opening, and then we'll let the player transfer on page 2. So the more grammatically astute among you might have noticed that this code will say 1 guesses remaining. This is an unfortunate reality of working in English. If you're translating your game into other languages, good luck. This sort of thing is going to be handled differently in a bunch of different languages, so it's going to be a real pain to deal with. But anyway, that's something that we can fix here pretty quickly, because this game is in English, and only in English, so it's not too bad. So here, we're going to quickly check this. Conditional branch if variable guesses remaining equals 1. And actually, we do want to do an else branch here. And in both cases, so if it's equal to 1, player text, otherwise player text. And then in the case where it's equal to 1, we just have to change that. So 1 guess remaining. And I guess one more time, I guess I'll just do it this way. Conditional branch if, not switch, I always do that. Guesses remaining equals 1. Else. Paste, so we've got too high. And if it equals 1, that is just 1 guess. All right. So that's page 1. Then we go to page 2. Well, at this case, at this time, this should already be open. So let's do that. Self-switch A. And I'm going to turn direction fix on. And the reason for this, if you look at this, is that we're going to be standing below the door looking up when we interact with it. So if direction fix is off, the door will look down at us, which is going to be this top row. See, if we go to people here, people that actually look like people, the top row is facing down. So if we don't put direction fix on, the door will close as it looks at us, just because of how that's programmed. So direction fix on prevents that. Same as character, action button. So again, you have to manually interact with the door. And yeah, all I have here is quick door event code, which is why I copied this earlier. So we don't need to have it open in this part, so we'll delete that. We'll delete the movement route. We'll delete that movement route as well. And this is just going to be the moving and the player's final position, which we set previously. All right. And so with that, we have a working vault door. I would test this right away, but before we test it, there's another thing that we're quickly going to want to set up that we can test as well. And we're just going to do a quick event creation transfer. And this is going to transfer us outside. Same as character, action button. No animation, doesn't really matter though. And that's all there is to this one. Yeah, so this one just works. We don't have to Yeah, so super quick and easy for the transfer event. So that's just going to let us get back out once we're in. Save changes and go. We already set the player position. So from here, I don't have the player telling us anything, that's fine. Number is too high, try again. 25 is too low. Okay, 37, too low. 42, too high. Let's go 40, too low. 40 again. Let's just deliberately get this wrong so we can see. Yeah, one guess remaining, so that worked. And then 41, door opens. Okay. Might want a different sound for the cloth. Anyway, we're up here. If I hit action again, we can get back out. And so the door is just permanently open now, and we can go as we please. And yeah, so as you can see, that makes it walkable, which is why I have this same as player, so that you can't walk into it. Alright, so that was one. The second one then, which is actually easier to do. Let's just set this up. Quick event creation. We'll do a door again. This one's different, so let's use this door. Sure. Goes here. And we're just going to set this stuff up again. So page 1, show text. This one is too hard to guess. I need to capital I need to find the code somewhere else it's going to fit there, so just throw it on the end there. Actually, it might fit there because if we don't have an actor. If we are doing an actor, well, that's why you. Oh right, that changes where the line is. Okay, that's why you test things. Preview. I need to find the code somewhere else. Excellent. So then we're going to do kind of the same stuff as before. Input number. This is a 6-digit number stored in guess. And here we're going to go if guess equals vault code. Variable if guess equals vault code 1. Show text. The door opens. And then this is where we do our sound of the door opening and movement route. Paste that into here. I'm going to get rid of through. Get rid of the rest of this. Really, probably shouldn't have done that because I'm going to need those. Oh well, I'll just copy it from the other event. I forgot to copy this event page at the start. That's fine. So set movement route this event, everything works, and set control self switch A. Okay. So that's going to be our door event in this case. And if you get it wrong, then nothing happens. You just fail and have to start from the beginning again. New event page. Right, so from here... Actually, I'm curious about something. Let's go here, copy event page. Can I paste it across? Can. Okay. We use this one, I think. Doesn't really matter. So again, direction fix, self switch A. Same as characters. And here, oops, we want to move to here. Okay. So that should be set up. Let's just copy paste this transfer event. And place that in position. And then use another quick event here. Treasure. We found vault code 1 in this chest. That was convenient. We'll go in here, and then in this, I'm just going to set a variable here. So when we get vault code 1, this is going to be a random 6-digit number. Now, there's a potential problem with setting this up this way, which is that if you interact with this first, the vault code is going to be 0. So in your actual game, instead of doing it like this, what I would recommend doing is taking a scene, like say the very first room in your game, and just during your initialization, just set the vault codes in advance, and then it's not going to be an issue. But here, well, I mean, I guess it being 0, in this case, because we haven't set it yet, makes for some really easy testing. Door opens. Does it work? It works. Okay. And if we try this again, I guess I need to do this. That's fine. Too low. Try again. Too high. Too low. Too low. Too low, too high, 1 guess remaining. Okay. Got in time. Vault code 1. So now this will be set. If I try to enter 73, nothing happened. I go inventory vault code 782507. Whoops. 782507. And we get through. Alright, and I guess the very last thing I should probably show here is how to actually make that vault code item. So I just assumed that I had it already, but if we go into the database, under items, vault code, it's pretty easy to set up. Key item, you can put it wherever you want, I guess. Not consumable, can never be used, so all you can do is look at it in your inventory. And then again, we're using these text tags here. So variable 13 is what I happen to have vault code 1 set as. Vault code 2 is 14. And so you just set the item up like that. And then in the chest, because we did quick event creation, it knew to do this, but otherwise you would just use change items. If you're doing something manually, putting this in your game somewhere, change items, take the item, add 1. Alright, easy. And that's the vault code, which I guess finishes all of the puzzle types that I had in this puzzle collection. I will be doing one more video just showing my overworld map, which I guess hasn't really made an appearance in the series so far. Pretty easy, pretty simple to do, but also another nice, convenient fast travel system. So I will set that up, and then I guess the project will be done. So that's exciting. I will see you then.